What is up, though, Lions fans? It's your boy, Motor City Don P, and once again, we are back in full effect. We back in full effect. We back in full effect. Check, check. We back in full effect. Let me wreck. One thing's for certain, and three things are for sure because you see me in front of your TV, and that is, number one, the Motor City Cats are indeed back at it. Number two, we came to give you stats and not none of that static. Number three, we want to make sure that you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And how do you keep your Lions news pragmatic? You may say, how, Don? How, Mr. Motor City? How, Mr. DP? Well, I'll tell you, it's very simple. You got to smash that like button. You got to subscribe. You got to share. Got to let everybody know what is going on around here and the levels of this and the extents that we are going to keep your Lions news pragmatic. That's what you got to do, and it will happen. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into what we got to get into today. Mark Garcia. I'm not getting into what are we talking about? The BM movement, the bowel movement. What up, though, Mr. Morale 313? Yeah. Talking about all the ways we say what up, though, in other places. You know, we Detroiters, it is what up, though. It's what up, though, all the time. All right. So I don't know what the BM movement is. The black man movement. I don't know. Somebody's got to hit me to what that is. If it's something on social media, I don't know what it is. I don't do social media. The only reason I do it is for sports. So yeah, I'm detached from the planet. If you don't believe me, I can share some stories with you. All right. So we have come to a situation. We're talking about Jared Goff and his monies. And we want to know if indeed Jared Goff could have gotten more money from the Detroit Lions. So we're going to get into this topic, and then later on we'll probably do some PFF list or some more burning questions from the NFC North. I had more questions yesterday, but didn't really get to ask them because we spent a lot of time on ranking the defenses from secondary to linebacker to defensive line in the NFC North. So if you didn't see that yesterday, make sure after this show, go ahead and check that out. It was pretty good. But this topic that we are going to get into after I pop out my chat, because I like to be able to see what you guys are saying. Let me pop this out. Oh, Bromart. The Bromart movement. Okay. We'll talk about that. Oh my goodness. Broderick Martin. He is a lightning rod. He is a lightning rod. But let's get to it. I have this article, and we'll talk about it. This article is from none other than the Doc, Mr. John Macaron, friend of the show, the Doc, the guy that was not offended by my Osama bin Laden remark. Osama bin Johnson remark. So let's go ahead and get into it. It says, why NFLPA likely cost Jared Goff millions in guaranteed money. Okay, so it says the National Football League Players Association has been widely panned as being a players' union that has not been ideally advising its membership. In May of 2024, Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff signed to a 4-year, $212 million extension that included $170 million in guaranteed monies. The new contract places the 30-year-old under contract with the Lions through the 2027 season. It also includes an option for the 2028 season. I'm going to ask you guys a question about that in a bit. Actually, I'll ask you the question and then you can get started thinking about your answers. Does Jared Goff sign another extension with the Detroit Lions after the 2028 season? My criteria for this is if we have not won a Super Bowl. Because obviously, if we've won a Super Bowl by the 2028 season, then there's no reason for him not to resign. So my question is, if 2028 comes along, because I think Brad Holmes is signed through 2027. If Brad Holmes is signed through 2027 and he wants to get another contract and the 2027 season has come and gone and the Super Bowl has not been brought to the Detroit Lions, do the Detroit Lions offer Jared Goff an extension? That is the question that I have. It is not hating on Jared Goff. It is not saying that Jared Goff is ineffectual and he won't be able to get anything done. It is a hypothetical question that if the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy, is not in the trophy case of the Detroit Lions, it's barren, looking like the Vikings trophy case. Okay? If that happens, here comes Speak Easy Sport. He says, you hate Jared Goff. I do not. I am asking a question. Okay. And Speak Easy understands because he said a lot more inflammatory stuff than I have. I'm not even saying nothing inflammatory. I'm just asking a question. TaylorMade Media says, what 2028 man Jared Goff has to lead the Lions to a Super Bowl to justify the contract he now has? So TaylorMade Media's answer is hell to the no. To the no, hell no. I got the drop, the hell to the no drop, but I can't play it because if I play it, then they'll be like, oh, this video cannot be monetized. Speakeasy Sports said he was cute. Okay. We talking about his play on the field. We ain't talking about none of that. So that's my question. Easy hasn't answered it. TaylorMade Media has answered it. He has said it with his chest. Once again, TaylorMade Media has said, hell to the no, to the no, hell no, hell to the no, to the no, to the no, hell to the no. Okay, so that is what TaylorMade Media said. All right, so let's get back to this, and I will get to your answers in a second. Speak Easy. The question is, because we're talking about Goff's contract and how the NFLPA may have screwed him out of millions of guaranteed dollars. If he does not win a Super Bowl by the 2027 season, because he has an option for 2028, do the Lions re-sign him or do the Lions offer him another extension? Keeping in mind that I believe that Brad Holmes is signed through 2027. So let that kind of percolate in your answer. All right. So he has an option for the 2028 season. Earlier this week, Pablo Torre and Mike Florio worked together to reveal specific details of a 2022 lawsuit. At the time, the NFLPA claimed NFL teams and the league violated terms of the collective bargaining agreement by working together to limit offering players fully guaranteed contracts. When quarterback Deshaun Watson signed a fully guaranteed $230 million deal, owners allegedly worked to ensure the contract was more of an outlier than the norm. Collusion. Speakeasy Sports, what do you think happens if that is the case? If they do not win a Super Bowl by the end of his contract, what happens with Jared Goff? When quarterback, we read that one. Torre and Florio discussed the findings released in a 61-page ruling that had not been previously released. And for those of you guys that didn't know this, Mike Florio used to be a lawyer. I was around when he started Pro Football Talk. So he would always talk about the fact that he used to be a lawyer, and he would talk about his experience in law and all these other things. So they revealed that the NFL Management Council, which had been advising each of the league's owners, was encouraging teams to avoid fully guaranteeing veteran players' contracts. Brad keeps him because he loves his guys. I think it depends on who's out there. I think it depends on who's available. I think we could see what Fatty Matty Patty failed to do. Okay, because this is what I was saying when you guys were talking about Justin Herbert. We could have had Justin Herbert, but oh no, we had to have Jeffrey Namumbo Oh Hell No Kuda instead. But no, we could have taken Justin Herbert, but that wouldn't have fit the win now mandate. Neither did Jeffrey Namumbo Oh Hell No Kuda, but they didn't know that. But it was their job to know that he was trash, garbage at playing football. Don't know about him as a human being, but not good at football. All right. So arbitrator Christopher Droney wrote in the 61-page ruling, there is little question that the NFL Management Council, with the blessing of the commissioner, encouraged the 32 NFL clubs to reduce guarantees in veterans' contracts at the March 2022 annual owners meeting. However, the evidence did not establish a clear preponderance that the clubs agreed to do that or participated in such a scheme. There are many clubs whose only connections to his proceeding is the attendance of the owners' meetings and the expert evidence of aggregate and average changes. Goodness gracious. In various measures of spending, guaranteed and otherwise, is not sufficient, even when considering with the other evidence presented for the NFLPA to meet the standard of proof. So basically, in layman's terms, they couldn't prove that the money wasn't being spent because of being at the meeting. That's all. Doesn't the NFL have a compensation committee? If so, who's on it? They do. I don't know who's on it. I'm sure Roger Goodell is on it. I'm sure Jera is on it. But other than that, I don't know. For Goff and players like Lamar Jackson, why weren't they given fully guaranteed contracts similar to what Watson received? After discovering how league owners were operating and quarterbacks not earning fully guaranteed dollars, it can be argued a properly functioning union would have raised much more of a public stink that dollars were being left on the table. Instead, it appeared both sides worked to try and hide the findings of the ruling. So basically, the NFLPA is in the league's pocket. So they're supposed to be out here, working for the players, but they're actually working for the weekend. You understand what I'm saying? TaylorMade Media, he knows what I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure he does. Speaking of sports, maybe he knows. A little young. Mr. Morale 313, I'm pretty sure he knows what I'm talking about when you're working for the weekend, right? So unfortunately, text messages released between the owner of the Cardinals and Chargers indicated that player contracts were being analyzed, especially at the quarterback position. According to Pro Football Talk, far more surprising is the NFLPA's failure to weaponize the ruling. It makes no sense for the union to hide what was ultimately a victory. They proved that the league colludes, or at least that it tries to. It can be argued that based on Goff's playoff success in Motown, he should have been offered and accepted a fully guaranteed contract. Goddamn. Where was his union? Where was his antennas? Where was their antennas? Where was his union to fight for a player maximizing his earning potential? Okay, where was their antennas when Jared Goff was trying to get that money at the table? While Goff is not underpaid by any stretch, the union seemed to be okay with the player accepting a $170 million in guarantees instead of $212 million. Detroit's signal caller is likely not fretting about $42 million. I would be. But the players' union is now under even more of a microscope for not advancing the interests of their membership. So what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about the NFLPA being in the pocket of the NFL? Because I think most people remember around that time, it was collusion, especially with Deshaun Watson. Apparently, a lot of the owners were upset with Jimmy Haslam, who was the owner of the Cleveland Browns, that he went out and he gave Deshaun Watson this contract. Okay, after giving up a haul to get him, then signing him to a fully guaranteed contract. Now, it wasn't the first of its kind. Kirk Cousins has been doing this for years. I think all his contracts have been fully guaranteed, right? Other than his rookie deal. Kirk contract. We might as well call him Kirk contract, right? Kirk Cousins signed a fully guaranteed contract with the Vikings. I think he did it twice. And then he signed one again with the Falcons, right? Gonna play 1 year, going to the bench, might get traded, might get cut. Who knows? Probably not cut because, again, his contract is fully guaranteed. So it wasn't the first one of its kind with the Deshaun Watson situation. The problem with Deshaun Watson was that it was because it was $230 million, right? I think with Kirk Cousins, his first fully guaranteed contract was like $88 million, right? $88 million guaranteed because he did it back in the day. Now I think it's like $144 million fully guaranteed, and that's not bad for a dude coming off of an Achilles tear, which clearly limited him last season. But what do you guys think about all of this? Deshaun Watson's issue was the first domino because it was $230 million fully guaranteed. And a lot of people said that Lamar Jackson, who was up next, probably should have held out to make sure that his was fully guaranteed. But again, collusion, we knew that wasn't going to happen. Because if you start giving out fully guaranteed contracts like the NBA, we've seen what they have done recently. Now they've got these separate aprons and these luxury taxes because they didn't have a hard cap, right? They had a soft cap, and then there were some penalties that you had to pay going into the luxury tax and things of this nature. I would love to see the NFL with a luxury tax, because what would that look like? Okay, I actually probably wouldn't love to see that, because then that means the Cowboys would just buy a Super Bowl. But what would that look like with the NFL having luxury taxes? And I don't know that you could do it in the league the size of the NFL, because if you look at a roster in the NBA, you have what? A maximum of 15 to 17 players on the roster. In the NFL, you have more than 17 players on the field at all times. Got 22. Sometimes you got 22. Sometimes you have 21. Sometimes you have 23. It just depends on how asleep at the wheel the defense is. So TaylorMade Media says, I think Jimmy Haslam is on the NFL's compensation committee, but I think DeMaurice Smith was executive director of the NFLPA at the time. He was the director of the NFL. Who is the director now? I feel like he's not anymore. But whoever the director is now is not getting nearly the press that the DeMaurice Smith got. Because everybody knew DeMaurice Smith's name. As I said, if he's not the director, I don't even know who the director is right now. All right. So what do you guys think? What do you think would be the impact of fully guaranteed quarterback contracts, because I don't think, in my personal opinion, I don't think that you could have a league of people. You've already got a league that accepts the fact that quarterbacks get paid. Lloyd Howell, never heard of him. I never heard of Lloyd Howell at all. Like I said, DeMaurice Smith, everybody knew his name. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. Doom, doom, doom. And all your troubles are the same. You want to go where people know troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. Do, 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 do. You already know what it is. I'm gonna be here all week. I take Venmo. I take donations. I take PayPal. I take Cash App. You know, whatever it is, however you want to get it. Super chats too. I take super chats. Don't forget. Anyway, I don't think that you have a league of people that already accepts the fact that quarterbacks get paid 3 times as much as everybody else. And then you go, okay, so y'all are already getting paid 3 times as much as everybody else. Now you're fully guaranteeing the contracts. So that means a quarterback is going to get his money either way. It doesn't sit well. I don't think it would sit well with everybody else, all the other players in the league. It just doesn't make sense. So if you're going to guarantee quarterback contracts, you probably got to guarantee all the contracts. And you know the owners, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that at all. All right. So that was that topic. You guys have any more? I didn't get too many answers. I got 2 answers to what happens. I think we're a little bit shy in the chat. What happens if Jared Goff does not win a Super Bowl with Detroit Lions by the time his contract is finished in 2028? Will the Detroit Lions offer him an extension? Will they move on? Now, draft homes again. I just say it so sometimes I surprise myself because I say it so easily. So sometimes I feel like I made a mistake, but I didn't. His name is Draft Holmes. Okay? Draft Holmes may pull a rabbit out of a hat. We've already seen him draft a quote-unquote backup quarterback. Now, what do y'all think that would have happened if Hendon Hooker came into training camp immediately? Let's say the injury has to be there because I don't think a guy that's in the Heisman, the Heisman front runner or whatever he may have been in college, I don't think that guy slips to the 3rd round. Okay? Not in today's world. The closest we can look at is Lamar Jackson won a Heisman, and you could say he could have won it back-to-back. Like, the season that he had after winning the Heisman was actually better than his Heisman season. He slipped down to the end of the first round. He was the last pick in the first round by the Baltimore Ravens, which means that your favorite team could have had Lamar Jackson. And if your favorite team is not the Chiefs, then you probably would like to have Lamar Jackson. The strides that he's made, improving his game, improving as a passer, he's done what he needs to do. The league and the rules and its rules are all about the QB. True, but I think there would be like a mini riot if it was like, okay, like the favoritism is there. The favoritism is spoken but unspoken. If you fully guarantee quarterback contracts and no one else's, you remove all doubt. So I think at that point, there would be a lot of unhappy players at that point in time. Especially, I understand why players don't like to play on the franchise tag. Though it is fully guaranteed, you are not getting any security beyond that year. So, yeah, I think there would just be a lot of changes that they would have to make if they were going to fully guarantee quarterback contracts. So what I was saying was that draft homes may pull a rabbit out of a hat. What do you think that Hendon Hooker would have been had he came in and just lit the world on fire and he was undeniable? And I said that before. I said that a couple years ago, that if Hendon Hooker wanted to play for the Detroit Lions, if he wanted to take over for Jared Goff, he would have to be undeniable, right? Like Kobe said. He said, you have to be undeniable. That is not what Hendon Hooker was. That is not what Hendon Hooker is. And all of the talk about Hendon Hooker supplanting Goff has now ceased completely, right? We're just trying to understand if he's going to beat out Kyle Allen at training camp. You know what I mean? So if Brad Holmes drafts a backup, quote unquote, quarterback, quote unquote backup, not quote unquote quarterback, because we talking about if draft Holmes drafts a quote unquote backup quarterback in the next 2-3 years, and he is that dude. Maybe he had an injury, but it wasn't a season-ending injury. Maybe he was going to miss half the season, okay, the first 2 months of the season, and teams were like, and he slid down the draft board. If he slides down the draft board in the first round, and let's say we have another Lamar Jackson situation, do you think that Brad Holmes just says, hey, he slid to us, he's projected to be an otherworldly quarterback prospect, but he had this injury that's going to affect his availability for the beginning of the season. No one drafted him. I think Brad Holmes does it. And if you've got that guy, like we talked about Justin Herbert earlier, if you have Justin Herbert type of talent. Now, Justin Herbert, again, until he wins something, is Matthew Stafford in Detroit. Justin Herbert is Matthew Stafford in Detroit until he wins something. Okay? And that something could just be a playoff game. Okay? Because if he wins a playoff game, then he'll have a taste for it, and we'll see what he does the next year when he comes back. So my question, or not my question, my assertion is, let's say that guy is Justin Herbert type of talent. Let's say that guy is a Lamar Jackson type of talent, and he's waiting in the wings, and we don't get a Super Bowl by the end of Jared Goff's contract. I don't think that Jared Goff is back. If we've got that guy. If Brad Holmes has started to prepare for the future. Because the thing about it is this. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, after Tom Brady, had no plan. All I know is you need somebody to take the snaps when, not if Jared Goff goes down. I don't know about the win part because, I mean, he was injured in Los Angeles. It was like the thumb on his throwing hand. He had to get surgery on it, but I don't see any reason to believe that he would be like really, really injured, right? I lost my train of thought. Jared Goff not being back. Yeah, lost it. Anyway, but that is my thought process that there we go. I got it back. I got it. So I was saying that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not have a plan after Tom Brady. The New England Patriots did not have a plan after Tom Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were gifted Baker Mayfield. They were gifted Baker Mayfield because teams kept moving on from him. And the first team, as we started off talking about, was the Cleveland Browns because they went and gave Deshaun Watson this contract. So he went from the Cleveland Browns to I feel like he played for the Panthers like a year. I know he played for the Rams, right? He came in for Stafford and did a decent job, right? And then he got this Bucs job. Okay? So that's why I say they were gifted, because he was on the open market. He was available. I think that you would say that Baker Mayfield is a franchise QB. He's proven to be one. Right? How many times do you see a proven franchise quarterback on the open market? Right? I think it was a signing, right? Let me make sure. Because if it wasn't, then my point is null and void. Let's see. All right. Look, I just gotta make sure. I verify stuff. I don't like to just sit here and talk out my ass. Some people do. Yes, on March 15, 2023, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed Mayfield to a 1-year, $4 million contract that included a signing bonus of $2.87 million. That doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right. But if it is right, then they damn sure got a gift in Baker Mayfield. But their plan after Tom Brady was nothing. They didn't have one. They drafted like Kyle Trask when Tom Brady was there. And who the hell is Kyle Trask? You can just call him Kyle Trash because he ain't doing nothing. Does Draft Home still have a job if Goff doesn't have a Super Bowl by 2028? Yes. You don't fire the best general manager in Detroit Lions history if it is proven, because we know that Draft Holmes is going to draft solid players. He's going to draft superstars. He's going to draft all pros. We know that. He's going to go down into round number 4 and get an Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's going to go down into round number 2 and get a Brian Branch. He's going to go down into round number 3 and get a Kirby Joseph. He's going to go down into round number 3 and get an Ali McNeil. Okay? Mekhi Wingo, for all that we think of him and we have to see what he can do, was a 6th-round draft pick. Okay? Ahmed Hassanin, who has a tremendous hype train, was a 6th-round draft pick. Isaac Tesla, who has a tremendous hype train, was a 3rd-round pick that we traded all these assets for. I don't know what any of Mekhi Wingo, Ahmed Hassanin, and Isaac Tesla are going to be, but there are high expectations and high hopes. I think simply because Brad Holmes or Draft Holmes drafted them. Detroit Fan Man says he's going to go into round 6 and get a future Hall of Famer, Hassanin. Yeah, there we go. So I don't think that he gets, again, fired because it would clearly be the quarterback position. It's not because he's not going to have weapons on the offensive side of the football. It's not because he's going to have, or he's not going to have defensive help, because Brad Holmes has really, really turned around this defense. There's been a tremendous turnover. However, the issue has been what? Defensive line. Okay. Outside of Aiden Hutchinson. Okay. You know, we got Aleem McNeil. We got DJ Reader. We're able to stuff the run. Great. But our Achilles heel has been getting to the passer. But Brad Holmes has done a phenomenal job constructing this roster. So I don't think that you want to give that guy up. Okay? Because Jared Goff, again, now we're gonna assume that it's Jared Goff. Right? Jared Goff's the reason. But what if he's not the reason? What if we all take turns being the reason? In 2023, the reason was not Jared Goff. The reason was Josh Reynolds, and to a lesser degree, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kendall Vildor. I mean, that was just part of the perfect storm. In 2024, 2025, the reason was Jared Goff. Okay, if you want to talk about Osama bin Johnson's play calling, which led to at least one of those turnovers directly, and you can say that too. 2020, so 2024, 2025, right? What happens next season, or this season coming? If they don't make the Super Bowl, is it Jared Goff's fault? I think it has to be a consistent pattern of it being Jared Goff's fault for you to say, okay, now we need to move on from the quarterback. I think he consistently has to choke, consistently has to let you down in the big moments, consistently has to prove that he can't get it done. If he does that, then you have to move on from the quarterback. Which is kind of insane. Holmes literally played DT in college, right? So the thing about that is his philosophy. Okay, shout out Chris Long in the Greenlight podcast. He said in that, he's like, you know, it all starts in the middle, man. You know, when you don't have the middle of the line solidified, it's going to be tough for everybody else. So he bigged up his position and his position group. He is getting defensive line players for the middle of that line. He just ain't got none for the outside of Hutch. You see what I'm saying? So he played DT in college. He's addressing the DT position. He just drafted one and he signed one. So yeah. I believe that Goff can lead the Lions to the promised land. I believe he can too, based off of what I saw in 2023. Look, if anybody doesn't believe that Jared Goff can take you to the Super Bowl, you're fooling yourself, because he took the Rams to the Super Bowl and he took the Lions to 30 minutes outside of the Super Bowl. Okay, you may say that, oh, he didn't take the Rams. He was just back there handing the ball off to Todd Gurley. That's fine if you want to say that. But what you saw in 2023 wasn't that. What you saw in 2023 was a player starting an avalanche. Josh Reynolds started an avalanche because he dropped the football and everything else started to roll prior to that. Okay? It started to roll downhill and gather snow. Okay? If Jared Goff can't lead the Lions to a Super Bowl, you decide whether that's good enough or go in a different direction. So that's why I had the question. If Jared Goff does not lead the Lions to a Super Bowl appearance by the end of his contract, then at that point, I think you need to move on. For sure. Okay? Because if it's clear that it's Jared Goff, if it's not Josh Reynolds dropping footballs, if it's not Jaquiski Tart dropping pick sixes that are gift horses that he looked in the mouth, if it's not any of these things and it's clearly Jared Goff, then yes, you need to move on. Okay? That just needs to happen. Like, some people moved on from Justin Fields. An organization like the Lions wouldn't have drafted him in the first place. That's all I'm saying. Because the game's going to pass the Lions by with the statue at QB. Unfortunately, that's always been the Lions. I mean, we had Andre Ware, who wasn't a good quarterback. So, I mean, and that's been. I think since I first saw Randall Cunningham, I was like, ooh, if he played for the Lions. You know what I'm saying? If he played the Lions, that would be freaking sweet. All right. We've got some information. Okay. Here's a good one. We're going to play the hypothetical game. All right. This is an article from Side Lion. It is written by Max Demara, and it is about a UFL player. It says standout UFL defender could become Lions' next Jake Bates if given a chance. The Detroit Lions have thought outside of the box the last few years while building their roster and continue to prove there's more than one way to build a championship level team. Depth at every level is vital as the franchise learned during an injury-riddled 2024, and having too many productive players is rarely a problem for a team. Thus, the Lions need to keep exploring unique additions for 2025. Last year, the Lions found unexpected gold in free agency when they signed kicker Jake Bates after a fantastic UFL season with the Michigan Panthers. Bates went 26 of 29 on kicks and was a clutch force for a Detroit special teams room that badly needed stability. A year later, there's another intriguing prospect that could provide the Detroit defense the same impact. Tavante Beckett just finished up a solid season with the San Antonio Brahmas, where he led the league in tackles. That has landed him on Brent Sobleski's list of UFL studs that could deserve another chance in the NFL. His natural instincts, ability to seamlessly sift through trash and produce high tackle numbers are what it takes to play the position. I'm guessing he's a linebacker. A linebacker, yep, there you go. A linebacker doesn't need 4.5 speed if he's breaking on the play as it develops. In Beckett's case, his natural feel for the position allowed him to lead the UFL last season with 89 total tackles. Beckett is a natural chase linebacker who can immediately help on special teams as well. Linebackers that can help on special teams are named Ben Neiman, Trevor Nowaski. I think we have another, but I'll check. Ironically, Beckett Lions dominate all bargain team, and Brad Holmes looks great for it. Ironically, Beckett was part of Detroit's training camp in 2021 out of Marshall, giving him the distinction as one of Dan Campbell's and Brad Holmes' first rookies. He spent that season on the practice squad, seeing time in one game before being waived early in the 2022 offseason. Since he's been a two-time all UFL player in 2024 and 2025, proving he still has the goods to play high-level football. His most comfortable fit would be with the Lions given their current needs. Devontae Beckett could represent the Lions' next successful UFL splash. The Lions succeeded after signing Bates in 2024 as he quickly won the kicking job, solidifying his status as one of the smartest offseason additions that Holmes was able to make in order to help his franchise repeat as NFC North champions. Beckett could prove to be a similarly brilliant addition for 2025, especially given uncertainty at linebacker. Alex Anzalone didn't show up for OTAs as he fights for a new contract. Whether that will be solved before the season is unknown. Depth could be at a premium with an elongated Anzalone absence, something the Lions have already hinted with their moves. Even if the Lions have Anzalone, Beckett would be an ideal addition to chip in on special teams, given his tackling. The Lions are replacing Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Let's see, who is a special team star. Linebacker Grant Stewart figures to play a role in that, but Beckett could be an ideal running mate. There's no question Beckett already fits Detroit, given he was one of the first invitees of the new regime 4 years ago. The franchise should give him a call after a fantastic 2 seasons in the UFL and see if he can earn another NFL role the way they may quickly appreciate the decision. Detroit Fan Man says, I watched enough UFL ball to say, let's just keep it moving. So Detroit Fan Man is not a fan, pun intended, of, what's his name, Devontae Beckett. Here's the thing about the UFL. They need better marketing, bro. I'm on Twitter. I don't want to say every day, certainly not all day. Probably for 30 seconds to 5 minutes at a time. If I were to say that we need to get some UFL players in here, I would need to be able to see them first. Like I said, I don't see any games on Twitter. I don't see any. You just have to have this schedule memorized, pretty much. So that's not really a good way to market your players so that they can play in the big leagues the next year. So that's their biggest problem, just marketing. You know, I know there's probably not a heap of fans out there and they're putting tarps on stuff and all this. But if I don't know where to find you, I can't comment on you. I don't know where to find the UFL. What do you guys think about the UFL? I would like to know. And as you guys prepare your answers, I shall be right back. All right, we back. Let's see what we got. What up, Dope Tactical Sport? Telemade Media says I can't hunt him down either. Yeah, I mean, I believe that they play on Tactical Sport. The question was, what do you guys think about the UFL? And because I said basically, we were reading an article about Tavante Beckett. I got another question for you too, but it was Detroit Fan Man says, I watched enough UFL ball to say, let's just keep it moving. And I'm like, well, I can't really watch them because their marketing is terrible. I'm on Twitter, not often, but whenever I do log into Twitter, no one is talking about the UFL. The UFL isn't posting anything. They don't have any sponsored posts. Nothing is coming across my timeline about the UFL. The only reason that I know that the Michigan Panthers were in the championship game and got stomped is because of Lions Syndicate. Derek was talking about them. And hell, this is the thing. I even followed the Michigan Panthers Twitter account or a person that's like a fan, you know, because he followed me. So I followed him back. But again, I don't be seeing nothing about the UFL. I don't know what their record was. I don't know anything about the team, about the Michigan Panthers. I know they had a quarterback who, I think he was in the NFL before, maybe played for the Rams very briefly. I don't know anything about it, but I believe that their marketing is a problem. And my thing was, what do you think about the UFL? But Tactical, here was the prevailing question of the day. If the Detroit Lions do not win a Super Bowl by the time Jared Goff's contract is up, do they offer him another contract extension? Tactical Sport says nope. Tactical Sport says nope. What is the process that you guys would be willing to go through to get another quarterback? What's the process? QB is Brad Perkins, who won a Super Bowl as Stafford's backup and lost the championship to Brad Kaya, the Lions' 6th-round draft pick in 2017. There you go. It was all Lions all the time in the championship game of the UFL. You got that guy, Brad Perkins, lost to Matthews, or used to be Matthew Stafford's backup in Los Angeles, who used to be the quarterback in Detroit. And then Brad Kaya, who, shout out Brad Kaya. I do remember Brad Kaya's story because his mom is Felicia from Friday. Bye, Felicia. That's Brad Kaya's mother, if y'all didn't know that. He was a 6th-round pick, I think, out of Miami. I think he went to the University of Miami. But yes, that's how I know about Brad Kaya and the things that I know about him, because he's Felicia's son. I wonder if Brad Kaya, after winning the championship, waved to the Michigan Panthers and said, bye, Felicia. I'm pretty sure growing up in the house, once that became a thing, Brad Kaya was probably doing it to his mom all the time. It's fine because her name's not really Felicia. So it's not like he's calling his mom by her first name. But it's kind of messed up for her being famous for that because she was like a crackhead in Friday. So, like what if kids like was making fun of him on the playground? It's like, your mama's on crack. No, she's not. She was just acting that way in a movie. Your mom's never been in a movie. To be fair, some of the kids' moms may have been in movies, just not movies that we've seen. Oh, if we need a new quarterback, we need to draft one. As a matter of fact, I would draft him while we still have Goff. The quarterback should be on the team within the next 2 seasons. So I did say that earlier. I said that's what, if Hendon Hooker had come in and set the world on fire, and he was undeniable, like I said he would have to be in order to supplant Goff, what would the plan have been then? But we know that Hendon Hooker, for whatever reason, hasn't done anything. So now is he getting the developmental opportunities? I don't know. And this was like Derek's point. Watched some of his videos when he talked about the UFL. Was that, and I agree 100% that if you have a backup quarterback, if you have a young player that needs to develop, you should let them play in the UFL. Backup quarterbacks especially. I don't think other players need to do it, right? If you are a backup running back, your opportunities to get in the game are going to be there, right? All other positions have the opportunity, the ability to rotate. Okay, Aiden Hutchinson is a monster, but you got to have somebody behind him because while he does have a super duper high motor, he can't play every snap. So you have to have someone that will spell him. There's no such thing as a spell quarterback. So I think they should. Said, I guess you can get hurt in the UFL too. You can get hurt in the UFL, but as a quarterback, you need the reps. You're not going to get them just at practice. Like, you need live game reps. Right? So here's the catch-22. You have a quarterback who is your backup quarterback who you can't trust in the playoffs. So you have to sign, I don't know, a guy that was out of football for the year because he was coaching high school football. And he went pretty deep into, well, not pretty, as deep as you could go, into the season by winning the championship. Won a state championship. You sign that guy, and then when your quarterback does get hurt in the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, sorry, he does get hurt in the playoffs, then you have to put in the high school coach. Because your quarterback that you had has not been developed to the point where he can get in the game. And you can trust him to play in a playoff situation. Now, let's say that quarterback, Hendon Hooker, was playing in the UFL, and then he did get hurt. So then I don't know what kind of injury. It would have to be kind of like a season-ending injury for him not to be available for the playoffs. Because if he's playing in the UFL, he's playing after the NFL season, right? So now he gets hurt, some sort of season-ending injury, in the UFL and he's not available in the playoffs, what do you have to do? You have to go sign Teddy Bridgewater anyway. Okay? You have to go sign Teddy Bridgewater anyway. But because he didn't play and he didn't have any experience and you didn't trust him to go in there in a playoff game, he was fully healthy and you signed Teddy Bridgewater. So without the game reps, the point is that you're not going to trust him anyway. So you might as well give him the game reps. Okay? Because him getting hurt is the same as him not playing. He's not going to be available. You see what I'm saying? It's a catch-22, right? Agreed. Plus, maybe the UFO has rules in place to lessen the injury possibilities at QB. I wouldn't know. I've never seen a UFL game. I have no clue. I can't tell you what they do. Now, to Tactical's question, or to Tactical's answer, right? Drafting a quarterback. If the Lions are the way that we think they are going to be for the next however many years, always in the thick of things, always competing for Super Bowls, playoffs, all that stuff, right? How much are you willing to give up to get that quarterback in the draft? Because you got to go high. Okay? This draft, you could have drafted a Jackson Dart. Now I know that the Giants jumped back in, I think at 26 and drafted him. But you could have drafted the quarterback then. But you also needed defensive line help. You needed defensive tackle help because you didn't want to go in the season with Roy Lopez as your starting defensive tackle. You needed defensive end help, but you didn't get it. But I can't be mad that you got defensive tackle help, because you needed both of those positions. I just felt like you should have got defensive end help because I feel like you could have got DT help in the later rounds. So if it's a situation like Jackson Dart being available, that's going to be an easier way to get your quarterback of the future on the roster. Tactical says, no, them quarterbacks have live rounds coming at them. Oh, so like, is that your answer to what Taylor May was saying? Oh, the NBA draft has started. How did the Spurs keep getting like such high picks, bro? Yeah, the first overall pick, the second overall pick. Like, what is going on? I know what's going on. It's because they're rigging the draft, but I mean, Tactical Sports says the right quarterback is worth 2 first round picks. But as for me, I'm going to be keeping my ear to the streets for the next 2 seasons. Also, are you following the NFL collusion case regarding D. Watson? That's what we started talking about. That's what we started the show talking about. I don't think that there's anything to follow. I mean, basically the article was saying that the evidence shows that there was an attempt to collude and the NFLPA covered it up. So, yeah, it's fixed for sure. It's fixed for sure. That's how Cleveland got the number 1 pick in the draft 3 years in a row. If you guys like, if any sports fan didn't think it was fixed after the Cooper Flag situation with the Mavs giving up Luka in a trade to the Lakers and then miraculously getting another face of the franchise right after that because they got the number 1 pick in the draft. I got some beachfront property in Alaska I'd like to sell you. Because to me, that's directly tied to the second round picks not signing. More collusion, still not collusion. Oh, like Tate Ratledge. I don't know. It's possible. 30 of 32 second round picks remain unsigned. 2 have fully guaranteed deals. What happens next? I didn't know they were fully guaranteeing. So there was it Higgins? Jalen Higgins? He got signed to a fully guaranteed contract, I think it was. Nothing's going to come of the collusion case, says Tactical Sport. Like I said, I mean, if they've already found evidence of collusion, but they didn't do anything about it. Because if the league doesn't collude and prevent this, where does it stop next year? Third round picks are fully guaranteed. When does it end? I don't think there's gonna be a shift to fully guaranteeing contracts from the lower rounds, because then there's gonna be too much rumbling of first round picks needing to be fully guaranteed. And that's kind of murky waters. You already have the rookie wage scale because of what was happening with first round picks and people that have never played in the NFL before. Sorry, people coming in my house on phone calls as if I'm not sitting here talking. The disrespect. Anyway, that's why we have the rookie wage scale. So that kind of flies in the face of what the point of the rookie wage scale is because you haven't earned this huge contract. So it becoming a precedent, or it becoming the norm for fully guaranteed contracts for draft picks, I don't know if that happens. That just kind of defeats the purpose of the entire situation. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a regular thing to fully guarantee a first round pick too. Yeah, it's not. it defeats the purpose of why you have the rookie wage scale. So I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, and then look at the um I don't think they're fully guaranteed. I think there's a portion of it that's guaranteed, or is it fully guaranteed? Because I know what's happening with Shamar Stewart is the the Bengals are trying to add void years to. Okay, again, let me make sure. I like to not be wrong, and I'm not afraid to Google it. Um, the Bengals are trying to. Okay, that's what it was. All right. So it says that players in the first round are usually the only draft picks to receive fully guaranteed contracts, but Texans general manager Nick Caserio had no issues making history with Higgins' agent Chris Cabot of Equity Sports. So Texans Jaden Higgins makes history with fully guaranteed deal. Okay, so I was incorrect. Because I'm a human, I have hair, though I wear a hat. And I can be wrong. So, yeah, so that's the issue with Shamar Stewart is that the Bengals are trying to add void years so that they can avoid fully guaranteeing his contract. But the slotting of where you are paid and or where you are drafted and all that stuff, it's a fully guaranteed contract, but it has been greatly minimized the amount of money that they're getting. So I guess that was what the rookie wage scale said. Okay, you're not going to get all of this money, but we're going to give you first round draft picks, fully guaranteed contract. So yes. Thank you, Detroit fan man. I think the current 2011 CBA gave first round picks fully guaranteed deals. Now we're starting to see that expand to lower rounds. And this year, the second round picks are silently striking by not signing. We will see. I mean, again, that's going to be another situation. It's funny that the Texans are involved with this, just like they were involved with the first fully guaranteed contract with Deshaun Watson. I mean, they didn't sign him, but they traded him to the Browns. And then the league colluded so that wouldn't become a thing. I don't think, I think there's going to be more collusion because here's the thing. They've already, excuse me, they've already colluded once, more than once, but there's it's already evidence of it, and the NFLPA helped to bury the evidence of collusion. So I don't think that they're gonna not collude, right? I don't think that that's gonna happen. I think that they will collude because now the Texans are the target. They're going to be like, don't let teams do stuff like what the Texans did. And they're probably going to be pissed at the Texans. So, yeah. You mean you don't spend 2 hours saying I was right? I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't call myself the Lions whisperer. I don't claim that the Detroit Lions change the way they do their press conferences because of me. I don't claim that I have an inside source to the Detroit Lions that says that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are watching my podcast, and I just need to continue to be positive. And then that source miraculously just runs off to Washington to become a politician. I don't do that, and I don't have those people. Tactical Work says, honestly, the way contracts are going, I think that they will rework how contracts are within the next 5 years. There are going to be some updates definitely in the collective bargaining agreement. I mean, they collude continuously. Now they're just getting caught and basically decided not to care. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know? Here's the thing. Until let's go back to the 70s. Okay? Because a lot of people did join the lawsuit against the concussion lawsuit. A lot of those guys were older guys that obviously have been dealing with issues. They've been dealing with issues as far as their permanent health. After the concussion lawsuit came out, and then the new CBA came out, the players were not willing to hold out for lifetime health care. So if you believe that the players are going to hold out together in one united front against the NFL about second round picks having guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed contracts, I don't think it's going to happen, because the players have not shown the ability to band together and just be like, you know what, fine, we won't come to work, we're striking. You know what I'm saying? It's called FU money for a reason. You are correct, sir. Jerry Jones is a billionaire. Jerry Jones goes, getting money, getting money. That's what Jerry Jones does. He used to do it in the shower, but he's like too old now. He might slip and break his entire body. So when he's in the shower, he's just like, getting money, getting money. You know, he just moves his head around, making sure he's holding on to the rails. Getting money, getting money. All right, y'all. I am going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, we'll not be here tomorrow, but we'll see you guys on Friday. So make sure y'all have a wonderful Thursday, and we will see you on the other side. Appreciate everyone who came through, hung out for conversation and a drink. This has been the Motor City Cats, because we are back at it. We came to give you stats and not static. Whatever you do, make sure you keep your Lions news pragmatic. And again, don't give money to fraudulent foundations. That's just my public service announcement for you today. Don't give money to fraudulent foundations. Just because someone says that they have a foundation, it doesn't make it true. All right. Peace out.